Welcome into the wild and wacky edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Hail, hail, the gang's all here. Maurice Patton, Chris Yao, Wade Neely, and that's just the start of it.
Yeah.
We have literally a jam-packed show today. I mean, Chris and I often talk about 20 pounds of potatoes in a 10-pound bag. Well, we may even have more than 20 today.
Basically 40.
Yeah. We will be joined in the second hour by MTSU football coach Derek Mason, who's going to stop by at our perch high atop the floor here at the Glass House. Talk a little Blue Raider football, take advantage of being here. We will also be visiting in the 3 o'clock hour with Joe Sullivan, talking a little area college hoops as we get towards Selection Sunday. In the first hour, we will visit with Heather Williams, as we typically do on Wednesdays, talking a little NASCAR, but it'll be a little later because we are also going to visit with former Major League infielder Mike Mordecai. And I'm interested.
Two-time World Series champ.
Former Atlanta Brave, Mike Mordecai.
Braves legend.
I'm interested in what he's got to say about a development that took place late last week at the Major League level in a certain team's middle infield. And I just wanted to get some thoughts from somebody that would have some insight into a move that a certain Nashville legend is being asked to make for a certain supposed World Series contender. So
should be fun.
It should.
Today's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We are going to. It won't quite be as free flowing as it typically is because we've got guests and we've got specific things that we're going to talk to them about. But it's still going to be fun because we're going to be getting some insight from some other folks, and that's always pretty cool, I think. So. Again, we are here in the 11,000-seat Lee Company studio at Murphy Center on the campus of Middle Tennessee State University. We have seen two Class 4A boys state tournament quarterfinal games. Cookeville opened with a 70-60 comeback victory over Maryville, followed by Rossview pulling away in the second half for a win over Morristown East. No, wait a minute. There was a game in between.
Brentwood and Bartlett.
Yes, Brentwood and Bartlett. Yeah. After Cookeville's win, Bartlett, who I think is generally accepted as the favorite in 4A, got all they wanted from Brentwood. Morristown East, and we're getting set for Independence and Laverne, a couple of Middle Tennessee teams here in the final 4A game of the day. So
didn't have to go far.
Yeah, particularly for Laverne.
Just to get it on, right down the road. So
looking forward to this one. Looking forward to the show. Going to be a good one. Did not necessarily expect to have Chris Yao on site today, but
sneaky.
Always welcome. Yes. So, guys,
let's get it.
Shall we?
Wednesday.
It's going to be a good show. I'm pumped. Always good to be back in the Glass House and always good to be with our viewers here on Main Street Sports Today.
No doubt. So let's get right into it with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Oh, let's start with if my scroll bar would work, and it's not. Somebody start the rundown.
I got you, folks. Let's begin things on the diamond. Yesterday's results. Baseball, we kick things off. Columbia 6, Blackman 3. Seems like the lines are on fire as of late.
Similar era starting with a bang.
Woo, they are rolling. Another good win for Columbia, 6-3. Again, a final over Blackman. Ravenwood 12, Brentwood 10. It was Brookwood, Alabama 3, CPA 2. Centennial defeated Summit 6-4. Creekwood fell to Clarksville Clarksville with a 9-2 victory in that contest. Coffee County put up 12 runs, just 2 for Laverne. Good 10-run victory for Coffee County. Columbia Academy defeating Webb School 10-0. CPA wins it 7-3 over Davidson Academy. Eagleville 9, Cascade 6. It was Hillsboro, a 5-2 winner over East Nashville. Lebanon 10, Evangelical Christian 2. Leaside, Canada, and Ezel Harding. Is that number 1? Is that correct? We have a Canadian team. Number 2, is that score correct? I have it listed as 6-6.
Probably a pool play game.
And they just ran out of time.
Just ran out of time. So, big trip for Leaside coming down, but Ezel Harding again 6-6. What we have listed here.
Did they come down or did Ezel go up?
Yeah,
because
that's a fair question because they played another Canadian team, and it was Ezel Harding 19, Brampton, Canada 3, Nolensville 7, Franklin 6, Hardin Valley a 9-1 winner over Friendship Christian. It was Greenbrier 11, Springfield 0, Green Hill 6, Walker Valley 3. Hillcrest, Alabama defeated Friendship Christian 1-0. And another score, my final score here, Hume Fogg 15 and Pearl Cone 4.
Huntland down Santa Fe 19-0. Not sure how many players Santa Fe
Yeah, I'm wondering
right
about
now.
that too. Yeah.
Wilson Central blank.
Good time to get them.
Yeah. Wilson Central blank Jackson Southside 6-0. Was lost doubling up Antioch 6-3. Loretto 5, Marshall County 1, Madison County of Alabama 5-4 winners over Wilson Central. It was Middle Tennessee Christian 10-0 against Providence Christian. Mount Pleasant 10 running Hampshire 14-4. It was Independence blanking Page 11-0. Riverdale 9, Dixon County 1. BGA defeated Robertsdale of Alabama 12-1. It was Upperman 9, Rockville 6, South Walton, Florida 7, DCA 2. Spring Hill brought the bats and more. 21-1 the final against East Hickman. It was Lawrence County 12, St. Michael Catholic of Alabama 2. Good Pasture 9, Station Camp 1, Siegel blanks Stewart's Creek 1-0. It was Sycamore 6, East Robertson 1. Tullahoma downs Mount Juliet 7-1. Tuscaloosa County of Alabama defeated Summertown 6-1. It was Watertown 13, Jackson County 0. Harpeth shut out by White House 9-0. Richland down Zion Christian 10-4. And East Nashville was a 6-5 winner over Hume Fogg.
In softball action on Tuesday, it was Blackman with a 10-0 shutout of Cascade. Eagleville down Columbia Academy 7-1. I think that one run was an Anna Brewer solo shot. Henry County 20, Clarksville Northwest 5, Middle Tennessee Christian with a 15-1 win over Laverne. Columbia Central 8, Lewis County 6. Community with an 18-5 win over Murfreesboro Central. Ravenwood with a pair of victories, defeating Hemley of Texas 14-1. Huntsville of Alabama 2-1. Station Camp blank Hope Prep 10-0. Summertown with a 9-0 win over Pine Grove, Mississippi, and an 11-1 win over Ezel Harding. Bel Air of Texas 13, Summit 0. Summit bounces back with a 16-0 win over Davidson Academy, then falls to Brookwood 6-5. In boys soccer action on Tuesday, Community with a 4-0 win over Middle Tennessee Christian. It was Gallatin 7, White House 1. Hunters Lane with a 6-0 win over Greenbrier. Independence blank Murfreesboro Central 3-0. Nolensville with a 9-0 win over Spring Hill. Oakland 1, Smyrna 0. Laverne 5, Riverdale 1. Stewart's Creek Edges Siegel 3-2. Webb School with a 5-1 win over Columbia Central. And it was Blackman 4, Wilson Central 1.
In women's college basketball last night, GCU, Florida Gulf Coast that is, FGCU wins it 74-52 in the A-Sun tourney versus Austin Peay. MTSU put a whooping on UTEP this morning, folks, 78-50. Close game early, but the Lady Raiders got hot in the second half. And again, 78-50 as they kick off their Conference USA tourney in style. Good win for the Grizzlies last night. They defeated the Wizards 109-97. That takes us into the schedule for today. Coming up in just a matter of moments, it's Laverne and Independence here at the Glass House. A little bit later this evening at 5:30, you can catch North Green versus Santa Fe. Tomorrow, before we go on air, Alcoa and East Nashville will get it on at 12:45. Prior to that, even, Hickman County will take on Whites Creek at 9:30. And just because I'm in a giving mood today, folks, I'll give you a few baseball updates for tomorrow as well. 4 p.m. starts between Pope John Paul II and Smith County. Lipscomb Academy and St. Michael Catholic out of Alabama also at the same time. At 4:30, Good Pasture at White House Heritage. Summertown taking on Hillcrest, Alabama, into 5 o'clock start times. Gallatin is at Clarksville Northwest. At 6:30 tomorrow night, Lipscomb Academy versus Bayside Academy. That's out of Alabama, though, not out of Saved by the Bell fame. 6:30 tomorrow. Again, the first pitch there. Also at 6:30, you got Stewart's Creek at Siegel. And at 7 o'clock tomorrow, capping our baseball schedule, Davidson Academy versus Spanish Fort, Alabama, and Lebanon versus Robertsdale, Alabama, again at 7 p.m., rounding out your baseball schedule for today.
Softball today. Beaches, Greenbrier at 4 o'clock. Wayne County hosting Lawrence County at 4. Spring Hills at Coffee County at 5, as is Fayetteville at Santa Fe at 5:30. You can catch Good Pasture and Greenbrier. And at 7 tonight, Riverdale is at Smyrna. Men's basketball later this evening in the SEC tournament. You could have gotten free tickets if you had the link I had to this one. Yeah, 75 cents. I'm sorry. It cost 75 cents for the fees.
Everything's going up.
Vanderbilt and Arkansas at 6 tonight. Right after that will be Missouri and Arkansas.
No.
Missouri
and Arkansas. Missouri and Georgia?
Georgia. Missouri and Georgia after that. Middle Tennessee State and La Tech in the Conference USA tournament, 8 o'clock on ESPN+. NBA action tonight. Grizzlies hosting the Hornets on Bally Sports at 7. On the ice, Nashville is at Winnipeg. That's on Bally Sports South, and the voice of Willie Donick at 6:30. And on the pitch, Nashville SC enter Messi in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. That is a 7:15 kickoff on FS2, and that, folks, is your rundown.
Today's top story brought to you, as always, by the fine folks over at Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and stop through there for their delicious daily deli lunch options, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10 at the cash register. So, Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, our top story sponsor. And to help us with our top story, we are bringing in former Major League infielder Mike MORDECAI, two-time world champion, former Atlanta Brave, and a guy who has played both sides of second base, among other positions. And this is in response, as I said at the top of this show, I guess it was Friday, that the Los Angeles Dodgers announced that Mookie Betts, a right fielder last year, a second baseman this offseason, will now be their starting shortstop. Now, if anybody can do this, it's Mookie Betts. I have no doubt that he's going to do it. I have no doubt he's going to be an all-star at shortstop. But it really feels like to me, who my next at bat will be my first, but it feels like this is an interesting transition to ask somebody to make on, at the time, March 8th. So I wanted to find somebody who could kind of speak to making the move from starting second baseman to starting shortstop in such a short period of time. And Chris was able to identify Mike MORDECAI, who now coaches at
Northside Methodist.
Mike, is it Northside Christian, Northside Methodist? Where is it that you're coaching in Alabama? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Northside Methodist Academy in Dothan.
In Dothan. Okay. Mike, we appreciate you taking some time with us, man. And like I said, am I making too much of this transition from second to short on a starting basis?
Well, first off, you know the player's history. Mookie, when he signed to start playing professional baseball, he was a shortstop, and then they moved him over to second base. The majority of his younger years there in A-ball, rookie league and all, before he eventually went to the outfield. And he was very, very, very good player on the infield. But a lot of times teams will move players around to try to get their bat in the lineup, and they'll find a position that they can put them in that they would be adequate enough defensively to get their bat in the lineup and say, we got to get the guy's bat in the lineup any way we can. Let's find a spot for him. And so if the players can do it defensively and not hurt their team that much, then that's where they're going to stick them to get him to the big leagues. And I think that's kind of like what happened with Mookie. I saw him in Double-A. I was roving infield coordinator with the Blue Jays. I saw him in Double-A. Bobby Meacham was the manager there for us. We were the New Hampshire Fisher Cats, and Mookie was with Portland Sea Dogs. I think the Red Sox at that time, they're the Sea Dogs now. But anyhow, and he was playing second base. And I remember Bobby and I having a conversation about him in particular. And he says, I think they're going to put him in the outfield. And I think Bobby had spoken to their manager because they knew they had a special player there, and they just needed to find a way to get him in the lineup up top. So they started playing him in the outfield, and of course, the rest is history. So it's easier to go from the infield to the outfield, but when you start coming from the outfield back to the infield, everything speeds up. The batter's a lot closer to you, and getting back on that dirt and getting yourself used to hand positioning and all the things that you got to do, positioning yourself, all that comes into play. But to add to the fact that the shortstop is kind of like the quarterback on the field, it's a tough position. Mentally, it can beat you up. But I think Mookie is probably well qualified to go out there and play the position.
I would agree with all of that, Mike. It just feels like a big ask again 3 weeks before the season starts. I mean, you've mentally kind of gotten yourself into the mode of, I'm going to play second base. This is my first full year at the major league level as a second baseman. I'm getting myself prepared for that. And then all of a sudden, oh, we want you to move across the bag. And again, I have no doubt he can do it. It just feels like, it almost feels like a little arrogance on the part of the Dodgers for even asking him to do it. You know, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, I'll tell you this. I would guarantee you Mookie Betts is one of the best teammates in baseball. This guy's concerned about winning ball games. He's not concerned about what position he's playing. He's concerned about winning ball games. How can I help this team? All right, my bank account, I don't need to worry about that. I want to win ball games, and I firmly believe they have a plan B in the background here. Okay, he might already be the plan B, and they've got plan C, and they're thinking to themselves, if Mookie can do this, and he can do it adequate. We're not asking him to be a Gold Glove shortstop. We're asking him to make the routine plays, keep us in the ball games. Whatever else he gives us defensively, we're going to take it. I mean, if you look back at shortstops that have been on pennant-winning teams and things like that, I mean, I can name a few guys that weren't outstanding shortstops. They were just steady as she goes, and their teams ended up in the postseason. And in this day and age in the postseason, we don't know what can happen. I mean, teams get hot and offenses go cold, and the next thing you know, a team's in the World Series like Diamondbacks last year. You didn't expect that. So that's their goal, is to get to the postseason. And I'm sure they feel like with Mookie on the field at shortstop, they can do that. Now, if he falters, and Mookie, I would imagine is the kind of guy, he would go to them and say, hey, man, this is getting to me. You know, I feel that way. And then they would probably say, all right, let's see if we can fix this. But you're talking about a guy that's an all-star. There's a lot of pride there, heck of a ball player. He's not going to want to let him down, so he's going to put in the work. I can guarantee you that. You know, he's going to put in the work for his teammates and the fans, and he's going to be one of those guys that says, just watch me. I can do this.
Well, and he can, and he will, and he will be good at it. And like
He'll be great at it.
Both of you guys have said that, and there's no question. What is the technical difference of playing second base and shortstop? I mean, obviously the preparation has to be a little bit different.
A little bit. You know, you're talking about footwork and release, like a lot quicker release, coming to get the ball a lot more. Second base, you don't have to do that as much. But shortstop is about coming to get the ball, and you get opportunities to get short hops, get your feet set up and make throws. The double plays, I think he'll handle those well. It's just getting the speed between second base and shortstop. I guess kind of like in the back of his mind. Every ball player playing a position has an internal clock. That internal clock is telling them how much time they have, and they've done it for a long time. Mookie just needs some time to get that clock going to where he understands, okay, I know how much time I have here at shortstop as opposed to second. I may have a little bit more time. I don't have to worry about putting as much on my throw at second base. There are times you have to do that, but at shortstop, I mean, you got to have some good angles at balls, and that may take him a little bit of time to figure some of that stuff out. Like I said, I think this guy is well qualified to do this. I believe he's going to be an all-star. I think he will be. I'd be surprised if he's not.
I do too. I really do, Mike. Mike Mordecai, former Major League infielder, current coach at Northview Christian down in Dothan, Alabama, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Mike, is it tougher to go from second to short or from short to second? I'm sure you've done both.
Second to short is a little bit tougher. It's a little tougher to go over there because obviously you're farther away from first base. The play in the 6 hole is one of the tougher plays you have to make. That backhand and that long throw across the diamond. I used to be, when I was with the Blue Jays, Alex Anthopoulos, who's now there with the Braves, we would have meetings and he would ask me about some of our younger players playing shortstop and can they do it? You think they could do it at the big league level? And I would always say, Alex, the one thing that I would want these guys to do is make that play in the hole, because you don't want to be in the World Series in the bottom of the ninth with the winning run for the other club on third base, and there'd be a backhand hit in that hole, then that guy can't make that play. So that to me is going to tell you all you need to know. And it may take him a little bit of time to get the footwork down, the angles right, but I'm sure he's got the arm and he's got the ability to do it, and he'll put in the work. So I don't see any issues there, but it is tougher to go from second over to short.
I guarantee you at some point Mookie Betts is going to make a jump throw that's going to make people just jump out of their seat. I'm excited to see him do it. It's just that, like I said, I feel like the Dodgers have just grabbed a bunch of players and then just kind of threw them out on the field, and wherever they land is where they're going to play. And it's an interesting philosophy, and as a Braves fan, I hope it falls on its face. But it won't be because of Mookie, So we'll see, clearly. But, Mike, man, we really appreciate your – Wade, did you have something?
Yeah, I was going to get in real quick with Mike, and we certainly appreciate you being here. Mike, you're the great website Wikipedia tells me that not only are you the coach, you're the AD, and you teach history. First of all, is that accurate?
Well, I nixed the history last year. This year I picked up some physical education, middle school PE classes. So I'm the AD, the baseball coach, and I got some PE classes. And really, I do a little bit of everything. I just concessions, I do it all.
Well, yeah, if you have the AD title, we know you do a little bit of everything. And I was still hoping you had some history in your repertoire there, because we were going to, maybe go down the rabbit hole here and just see what sort of facts you could try and throw at us here today, maybe.
I don't know. I have to dig back in. There's middle school history. We'd have 7th grade, and then we'd have 8th grade. And the 7th grade's more of U.S. history. When you get to the 8th grade, it's more world history. So, there's a lot of stuff going on over there in the Middle East now that our kids last year or the year before last, I was teaching them. We were talking about those areas and things like that. It is interesting.
And so I guess the real question is, how many chapters in the text are devoted to Nick Saban in the history books down there?
Maybe not enough, but you're listen now. You're in Tennessee too. Now you either love Nick Saban down here or you hate him. There's no in between. You got Auburn on one side and the Alabama on the other. Up there in Tennessee. But I'll tell you what, people like Nick Saban are just good for college football. Regardless if you like him or hate him, he's good for college football. The guy was was very well respected amongst his peers, and that's a huge compliment. Any coach, if you're well respected among your peers, you've been successful.
Well said.
Mike, we are so appreciative of your time, man. We thank you so much for taking it and for getting back with me as quickly as you did. I did not expect for you to answer my email on a weekend, but you did, and I greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Mike Mordecai, thanks for joining us here on Main Street Sports today. And maybe swinging back to you, man, maybe around the All-Star break once Mookie makes the SL team.
Yeah, you guys anytime you guys need me on or would like to talk some baseball, I enjoy it.
Well, we enjoy it. We appreciate you. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
Thank you, Mike.
That was Mike Mordecai with us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We're going to take a quick break and try to wedge in a little talk ahead of Heather Williams in the next half hour.
Got a little NFL.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, we definitely got stuff we need to talk about if we can. So we're going to do that after this break right here. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
There we go. Welcome back into Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today. Coming to you from the 11,000-seat Lee Company studio that is the Glass House. Murphy Center here on the campus of Middle Tennessee State University as Independence has a 27-26 lead, a 30-26 lead over Laverne with 4.5 minutes left in the first half. Maurice Patton, Chris Yao, Wade Neely. We've had a little news this afternoon as the NFL free agency cycle continues. And while the Tennessee Titans have made a number of moves, there's one move that they were not able to make, apparently, as Oak Ridge Mr. Football, T. Higgins, is now a Patriot, apparently. Tell us more.
I mean, honestly, I don't know a whole lot more about it. I do know that T was, he had asked for that trade, and looks like they're going to give it to him. And so it looks like T is going to end up as a Patriot, and I'm not sure what they got in return. Do you?
I haven't seen terms yet.
I'm not seeing that it's a done deal. I'm seeing that it's been talked about, but I don't know that it's
one thing.
I don't know that it has necessarily advanced past rumor.
Yeah, as you know, Patriots GM basically teased it this morning.
I don't think that's actually the Patriots GM. I think that's a player.
Gotcha.
Well, either way,
that's why GM is in quotes.
Well, it sounds like that really kind of tells us the whole situation, though, with him in Cincinnati, right? The fact that we're pretty much assuming that he has probably played his last bit of football in Cincinnati. And since we've kind of mentioned the Titans, Mo, you and I have talked with a lot of folks the last couple of weeks, you know, especially Terry McCormick when he's joined us. That's kind of one name really from the Callahan hire that everybody kind of had on the tip of their tongue is probably going to end up in Nashville. And they were hoping, obviously, maybe it was via free agency. But with the franchise tag coming down, I think kind of some of that luster has been lost. But also, it was not just the Titans that were kind of, as we're kind of discussing a little bit here today, weren't just the Titans that are vying for the services, obviously, of T. Higgins.
No, I'm sure the Titans weren't the only ones that are fascinated by a receiver of T. Higgins' physical stature playing as part of their offense. And you kind of connect the dots. Well, Callahan having been OC in Cincinnati, Higgins having played a key role in that Cincinnati offense, Higgins being from
here,
Oak Ridge. I mean, those are easily connectable dots.
A lot of people were equating that. A lot of people were equating that second round pick with T. Higgins maybe being a part of a trade deal. And Mike Herndon, friend of the show, proposed this a couple of minutes ago. He said, would you rather have T. Higgins or go get Mike Williams? You've still got your 38 pick, and you go get A.D. Mitchell. And now you've got two guys.
I don't know that A.D. Mitchell is going to be there at 38.
I think it's iffy. But your favorite wide receiver, whoever's left,
well,
I mean,
I'm just saying. I mean,
second-round wide receiver.
If it's A.D. Mitchell specifically, if he gets into the second day, I think you've got to go back up to get him.
You think they got to trade from 38 up to the round two?
I think you may have to.
Be interesting. I don't know. I mean, he could.
I just don't know that he's going to be around that late. Between his measurables and his production.
His pro day and his time in Indianapolis certainly helped his draft stock. There's no question. But or a second round grade wide receiver plus Mike Williams. Yeah. To me, I'd rather have that than injury prone T. Higgins.
Well, in injury-prone T. Higgins in a franchise that has struggled with injuries at that position.
Right. So maybe that's.
I just think, again, that they were dots that were easily connected. And, to be fair, makes sense if you're trying to upgrade at receiver.
Now, one receiver that did move, did y'all talk about this yesterday? The Steelers, Panthers?
We didn't know. I think that happened after the show. Actually. Yeah.
So,
fill us in.
I just said his name a minute ago.
Deontay
Johnson.
Yes.
From the Steelers headed to Carolina, and does it hurt Russell more than it helps Bryce, or does it help Bryce more than it hurts Russell?
I don't know how much it helps Bryce, just because I feel like the Panthers need so much help.
He's still got it. You can't throw it from your back, right?
Yeah,
we've learned that in Tennessee.
That's what I was going to hop in with in regards to the Panthers end of this deal. They need so much.
Yeah,
it's an incomplete for me because they have so many pieces that they need to really kind of get even back up to a serviceable looking offense.
So it hurts Russell more.
I think so.
If you're going, by that direct comparison,
if you're doing a zero-sum kind of thing, it probably does. Although, again, the Steelers still have George Pickens. And I'm not familiar enough with what else they have at receiver without Johnson to really, really speak on it with a whole lot of knowledge. But Pickens is a whale of a receiver.
Yeah, he's a great one.
So I'm not too terribly concerned with what Russell's going to have to work with. I just feel like being in a environment where he's being embraced. There are a lot of people out there that feel like Russell is washed. I'm not among them, particularly in Pittsburgh. So I'm interested to see how that.
I think he is closer to washed than obviously his prime, but. I still think that's an upgrade potentially from what Pittsburgh had. The only other thing is, just reading chatter online is they still are kind of trying to kick the tires at the quarterback position in addition to the Russ move. And to me, if you go out and get Russ, that seems like that's really got to be your guy, right? And once you acquire him, I feel like you've kind of made your decision, in my opinion.
It would seem like to me that you have made your decision, and if you're still kicking the tires on quarterback and you've already got Russell Wilson, Kenny Pickett, and Mason Rudolph in camp, do you really have room for a fourth option?
No, and that's what I'm saying with regards to Pickett and Rudolph. You're hearing a little bit of chatter about them, and
one of them's not going to be there.
I don't know what you're going to get for Kenny Pickett at this point.
I'm not saying that you get anything, but one of those two is not going to be there.
I would not disagree. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, let's talk a little vroom vroom with Heather Williams. Little NASCAR here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Stay with us after this break.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA. With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
While the Wacky Wednesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, I'm Maurice Patton, flanked by Chris Yao, and that guy on the far end is Wade Neely, and we're 3 wide today.
Aha!
As we get ready to talk a little NASCAR with Heather Williams of WCYB-TV up in Johnson City. Heather, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and don't try 3 wide at Bristol. It absolutely will not work.
It will not work. There's no.
Well, you know, we're on the super track today. We are in the 11,000 seat Lee Company studio at Murphy Center. We were kind of hoping we might see you. I know North Green is going to be taking the floor here in a couple of hours.
Yeah, North Green today and David Crockett tomorrow, but with everything that's going on, including race week, our station will be making the trip only if one of our teams makes the championship on Saturday.
Okay. Well, with all due respect, we hope it's not North Green.
Yeah, sorry.
You know, they upset the number 1 team in the state in the sub-state, so they're going to be a tough out.
We do know, and we have made,
and they have sent one of our teams home before.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah, so we are well aware of North Green, and we are well aware of just how dangerous they are, but we are hoping that Santa Fe in their first ever state tournament appearance can stick around for a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. We'll be sure and let you know. Catch us up, get us up to speed on NASCAR.
Well, this week we raced at Phoenix, and Toyota finally broke up the Chevy party when it comes to winning. Christopher Bell gets the win in Phoenix. Big win for Christopher because Phoenix is where the championship race is held every year, and he's been in the championship race the last couple of years, and that's had terrible luck at Phoenix. So kind of to get that bad karma off of him at Phoenix, get the win, I think will give him confidence if he can make his way back to the championship four again this year, to know that he can do something at Phoenix. It was also big for Toyota is because, as I mentioned, Chevy had won every race this year. Toyota had some speed, just hasn't been able to get the finishes, and now they were able to back that up with putting Denny Hamlin on the pole, and Ty Gibbs led a ton of races, and then Christopher Bell gets the win.
Heather, I know it's race week, and I know we're going to talk about Bristol, and we're going to talk about whatever as far as on the track is concerned, but, there are some of us here on this set who like to wager $1 or $2 on occasion, and now NASCAR is apparently going all in on sports betting with North Carolina allowing sports betting now. Greg Olson placed the DraftKings bet on television on Fox Sports the other day. And so what are you hearing from folks inside NASCAR as to how they think sports betting can affect the sport positively or negatively?
Well, I think that they really hope to reach some different viewers, some younger viewers. They've been all in pretty much from the beginning. Just North Carolina's been slow on the uptake, but in towns and cities where betting has been legal for a while, they have been all in. I mean, the race at Kansas is sponsored by the Hollywood Casino. The one in Vegas is sponsored by South Point Casino. In all over Daytona at the Daytona 500, there was a ton of stuff sponsored by the Hard Rock sports bets. So they've really kind of seen that as an opportunity to captivate people that maybe aren't huge NASCAR fans, but do like to bet. You know as well as I do that when you do that, it gives you really interesting games or things that you may not normally pay attention to. And you might actually end up becoming a fan of that sport or that player or whatever you're placing a bet on. So that's kind of been NASCAR's attitude the whole time, is to kind of bring new people into the sport through something that exists that people already enjoy doing, like sports betting.
Yeah, Heather, does it not seem like a perfect marriage for a sport, obviously, that's so dependent on sponsorship, and we see them all over, obviously, all over the track and obviously the cars, that sports betting and sports books, I guess, it kind of seems like a natural marriage in that regard, does it not?
Yeah, and also a sport that's really much built on numbers, right? I mean, it's very easy to start talking about top 5s, top 10s, the pick the podium finish, 1, 2, 3, in addition to just winners, what lap will the first caution come out, and you talk about prop bets, how long is the national anthem going to be, those kinds of things are very easy prop bets to go along with just your traditional sports betting.
Now, I have one quick question before we get into Bristol, which, by the way, is going to look a lot different this spring than it has in the last couple of springs. But what the heck is going on with Chase Elliott?
That's a really interesting question. He's not running terribly, right? I mean, he's not running awful, but he's not got that spark that he had a couple years ago. A lot of people have been saying, the rumor mill, that he's lost a little interest, but I don't think it's that. I think I could be off here, but I think that maybe, some things in his team are not quite clicking. Alan Gustafson is an amazing crew chief. Chase Elliott's a good driver, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're a good fit together. And when you look at the teams that are super successful, that driver crew chief pairing is everything. Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson, Steve Letarte, Jeff Gordon. Steve Letarte was a crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr., and it really wasn't the same. Chad Knaus was a crew chief, I think, at the end of his career with William Byron, and it really wasn't the same. But now William Byron has Rudy Fugle, and that's, fire. So I'm not saying that a crew chief change is coming, but I think it might be beneficial for him, because I just don't know that that's working at the moment.
I think it's interesting. You're right. It's just kind of a meh. It almost feels like, like you said, there's something that isn't quite making sense as a team. And so hopefully they can get that worked out. And I'm curious if it's going to affect his reign as NASCAR's favorite driver for 30 years in a row.
No, as long as his last name's Elliott, he's driving. He'll be the most popular driver. The only driver in the garage area that I think could give him a run for his money and maybe steal a most popular driver award somewhere along the way would be Blaney, especially if he continues his success and wins more than one championship. But otherwise, no, not at all.
Let's talk about this weekend. Bristol's going to look a lot different than it has in the past few years. There is no dirt on the track.
Yes, the concrete is back, and it's so funny. We were working on a story on that, and one of my coworkers texted me and said, "Hey, do you have any sound from any drivers that like the dirt?" And I was like, "Those drivers don't exist." There are some drivers that were okay with the dirt, but the only driver that I ever heard say that they preferred the dirt over the concrete was Ben Rhodes in the Truck Series. Everybody else is so happy that the concrete is back at Bristol in the spring. You know, the reason that they made this switch is because the attendance was dwindling at Bristol in the spring. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how the fans react to the concrete being back, because they've gotten what they wanted. The fans said they want the concrete back. Will they come back to Bristol now? Because they weren't coming before. The dirt race was actually far better attended than any spring race in the concrete in probably the last 10 years, maybe. So the weather is supposed to be pretty decent. They do have the damp weather package for Bristol, which means, once it stops raining and it dries out a little bit, they can start running without the track being completely dry. So that is also an option if it does rain, but it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be in the 60s, which is pretty warm for Bristol in March. And there's only maybe like a 30% chance of rain. So there's no reason for fans not to come out to this race on Sunday.
Heather, as we get into the weekend, who desperately needs, in your mind, to have a good weekend, whether that's a win or just maybe even picking up some points here and there? Who, in your mind, needs to have a really solid weekend?
Brad Keselowski, for one. And he's very good at Bristol, although he hasn't been as good in the in recent years. Though he did have a second place finish a couple years ago in the night race behind Chris Buescher when he won, and he did win the spring race, I think, in 2020. But he definitely needs a win. He's still like 23rd in points and has not had a good start to the season. So Brad Keselowski is a guy who needs a win and can definitely do it at Bristol because he's been very successful here in the past.
On the other end, who's somebody that could kind of come out of nowhere, maybe surprise, whether it's due to success on this track previously or kind of just maybe who's somebody that could kind of just slip in here at the mix, and we wouldn't be shocked if they made some noise on race day?
Well, I think we can start with all three of the rookies. They've been successful at Bristol and other series in Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar, and Josh Berry. So I think those three guys could definitely kind of surprise some people, maybe sneak up and get a win. Bubba Wallace, so he has one here in a Cup car, has one here in other disciplines. I think he's a guy that's not really known as a short track racer, but has run well at Bristol in the past. So I think those are some names you could look out for. And then I think, we talked about the two rookies at Spire. I think Corey LaJoie is another guy that team has added so much, with their alliance now, with Chevy being a higher tier Chevy team and all the effort and R&D and engineering that they put into that team in the offseason. I think the Spire cars across the board could surprise some people this weekend.
Real quick, the racing, the short track packages, how do they feel right now?
Well, I think they felt a little bit better at Phoenix, right? I mean, I think Phoenix was better than it has been in the past. They don't really run the same package at Phoenix and at Bristol, so fixing Bristol's a little bit of a different animal than fixing the flatter short tracks. They'll put the resin on to try to make the multiple grooves at Bristol. But Bristol's not been terrible as far as the short tracks have gone, just because the bump and run and some other things play into Bristol to make it exciting, even if it's very difficult to pass. You can do some things there that you can't do on some of the flatter tracks. So I think they're encouraged, but we're not there yet as far as fixing the next-gen car on the short tracks.
Well, I go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Heather Williams, WCYB TV out of Johnson City, giving us a little NASCAR insight as she does every Wednesday. guess you're not we have shied away from asking her about her favorites, haven't we? I mean,
we haven't. We've not asked for a pick in a while because we tend to. She tends to jinx
people.
Yeah, but I mean, particularly with this being your home track, so to speak, you got to have a pretty good feel for who between the track and the way they're running may have a particularly good shot this weekend.
Well, there are definitely people that are always good at Bristol, right? Kyle Busch is usually pretty good at Bristol. Denny Hamlin is always really good at Bristol. He won in the fall the last time they raced on the concrete here. I think a guy like a Ty Gibbs, who's had success in the lower series. So all the Toyotas, I think, should be pretty good this weekend. And then there's also, Joey Logano, and he probably needs a good run as well.
I was going to say, Joey could use a win.
Yeah, and this is his favorite track. He makes no bones about it. I once tweeted that I wish I can find someone that talks about me the way Joey Logano talks about me. Because he's obsessed with this track. So, he's somebody to watch out for as well.
Well, if there's anybody out there that's obsessed with Heather Williams, be sure and hit her up at Sports Heather on Twitter or on X or at Heather_WCYB. She's got a couple of accounts, so she's twice as accessible. But Heather, we appreciate it, and look for now. Have you picked up any extra gigs? I know you did some stuff for PRN.
Yeah, I'll be on. Yeah, I'll be on the PRN call for practice and qualifying on Saturday for the Cup Series race, and that starts at 5:00 on your local PRN affiliate or also on XM Channel 90.
So there you go. Heather getting some extra exposure this weekend.
Hey, Heather, before we get you out of here, too, I got to ask you, obviously you're a big Kansas City Chiefs fan. For a franchise that really, really needs a lot and has to fill a lot of holes after the last couple of years that they've had, have you been keeping your eyes on free agency a lot? And if so, what do you think about the move so far?
I have been. I'm stunned. Every time that I think that Brett Veach and that front office have worked themselves into a hole with the salary cap, they do magic, right? They've signed Chris Jones. They've got Najarius Sneed on the franchise tag. They somehow convinced Patrick Mahomes to rework his contract to clear up $21 million worth of cap space.
21 and a half. But who's counting?
Right. I mean, but it's incredible what they do year in and year out. I'm hoping they'll go out and get some receiver help with that money. But I never in a million years thought that they would keep Chris Jones. That's incredible to me. Didn't think they'd be able to afford it.
Well, that's how you get to be a two-time Super Bowl champion, I guess, is by getting folks to buy in. And Heather, we appreciate you. And we will check back with you next week to see how well you have dealt with Bristol.
Sounds good, guys. We'll talk to you then.
Thank you, Heather. That was Heather Williams talking a little NASCAR here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chris, I don't know if you saw him, but there was a victorious Rossview coach, Johnny Jackson, standing.
I did.
Just off screen there, and I didn't know if he was going to join us.
He's gone now.
He's gone. And look at you wearing your Rossview colors.
No, it's Navy.
Well played.
My Braves colors for Mike Mordecai.
Oh, okay. That Navy looks awfully
It does look black.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's Navy.
Okay. All right. Cool. Braves colors for Mike Mordecai. Okay. I got you. That makes sense.
That's awful close to Rossview, though.
It really is.
Well, I wear my Navy pants, so I hope it's Navy. Otherwise, I look like an idiot.
No comment. Hey, let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today. When we come back, we are scheduled to be joined by Middle Tennessee State football coach Derek Mason. So come back to the Lee Company studio with us here after this break, and it'll either be us. There will be three people involved.
There will be.
Which three? Come back and see after this.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Hour number 2 of Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. I am joined by Wade Neely, and I lied. We do not have 3 people.
Something is it's a beauty of live television. You never know what's going to happen, and it never usually goes according to script, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. So we are awaiting the arrival of MTSU football coach Derek Mason, and I think Chris Yao is out looking for him, basically.
He's his handler at the moment, I suppose, or trying to become his handler at this point.
He would love to have him to handle, I guess. As Jet Montgomery just scored on what was a prospective and one. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
To push Independence's lead out to 64-47 with just under 9 seconds remaining here in the third quarter of this Class 4A quarterfinal matchup between Independence and Laverne. He gets the and one. Indy leads by, 18. Is that right?
Yep, and they've been playing, it was pretty back and forth early in this game, but they've kind of taken over. And as we get ready to head to the fourth here, Laverne certainly got its work cut out for itself as they're going to go to the line here.
Making up an 18-point stagger against this team won't be easy.
No. And really at this level, I mean, honestly, there's times late in games when you're saying how did a team even blow a 6-point lead. But when you talk about a lead of this magnitude, yeah, I mean, I'm knocking on all the wood I can find here.
Yeah,
but
we certainly don't want to jinx them. But at the same time, it would take a pretty significant collapse, I think.
Mo, you and I have talked, and we still are obviously hoping Coach Mason will join us here in just a minute. You and I have talked with Chip. We've talked with several other folks and kind of mentioning that the season is getting ready, spring season at least for MTSU football is getting ready to get cranked up. And I guess the real question, and I'll ask you this first, what should we expect in year one of Derek Mason at MTSU? That to me, this is such a unique fit, and you have a high caliber, or at least high reputation coach, certainly a outstanding track record as a coordinator. To me, this is a monster hire for MTSU, but are the expectations maybe going to be too high? So that's why I guess I wanted to kind of ask you that first. Where do you see this season going, and what would the expectations be?
You know, that's a good question. One, I've not looked enough at their schedule to really be able to answer, you know, what I would be looking for out of these guys. I know they've got a game here with Duke in September. You feel like, as Chris and I have discussed, this iteration of Conference USA is one that middle should be at or near the top of on a consistent basis, I feel like. And so I feel like if they are playing for a conference championship, if they are, you know, bowl eligible, I think that's successful. And I think that's pretty successful no matter who the coach is here.
Yeah, and that's
and I don't really feel like that's an unreasonable expectation.
No, and I think you're right, and I think that's you know, it was a death by 1,000 cuts maybe, but I think that's ultimately what potentially led to the dismissal of Rick Stockstill. It's a team that was projected to win 7 or 8 games last year and really struggled at times. And you mentioned the schedule, and we'll see on an update from Chris here. But as it sits right now, they open August 31st versus Tennessee Tech. The following weekend, they go to Oxford, take on Ole Miss, which will be a high-profile game, obviously. Saturday, September 14th, Western Kentucky comes to the house for your CUSA opener. You mentioned the Duke game. That's at home on a Saturday, September 21st. And then they close the month with a trip to Memphis. So in the month of September, they have Ole Miss, Western, Duke, and Memphis. That is a tough slate, assuming obviously you start the season with the win on August 31st versus Tennessee Tech. That's a tough slate just in the month of September.
Tennessee Tech, which will also be unveiling a new coach.
That's right.
Which is who? Remind me. Do we know?
Bobby Lamb? Who is Texas?
Was it Bobby Lamb?
I think it
was. I feel like it was.
Well, you and I just talked at length about skirmishes between Tennessee Tech and MTSU yesterday.
Let's hope there's not one this year.
Yeah, let's hope not.
It's Bobby.
On week 1. That is the September portion of the schedule. Then we get into October, and
that's when it gets weird.
And
that's when you get the midweek.
Do we go to Jacksonville on Wednesday, October 23rd, or what?
Hey. Well, we had
to spend the day.
We had Greg Seitz on the show last week, and he said, you know, you can't put a price on these on the marketing for these games. In the month of October, they play Thursday, October 10th at Louisiana Tech. They play Tuesday, quick turnaround.
Yeah.
October 15th versus Kennesaw State. That is at home. And then, as Chris mentioned, October 23rd on a Wednesday, they go to Jacksonville, Alabama.
Leave early.
That caps the month of October. And then November, they get back to a little sense of normalcy with all Saturday games. November 2nd at UTEP, November 9th, obviously a huge one at home versus Liberty. The 23rd of November, they host New Mexico State, and they close it on November 30th down in Miami versus Florida International. That's the 2024 MTSU schedule.
Terrible time to go to FIU, isn't it?
Hey, oh, yeah. The last weekend in November.
Yeah, you know, that's as we bring in Coach Mason. Coach, we're just running down the schedule here. You know, it's an awfully tough trip you have to make on November 30th. You got to go to Miami, Florida. I mean, in November. I mean, that's a murderer's row as far as weather goes, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. You know what? I'm so upset. But that's where we have to go.
You just look distraught.
You know what? I'm dazed and confused right now. I'm struggling. No, anytime you get to destination spots, it almost feels like bowl games to some folks because the weather in that area is generally pretty good that time of year. But
And it's generally pretty bad here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like having lived in Tennessee for the greater part of 10 years, I can tell you that time of year can get a little rough. But here's what I will say: it's a business trip for us. Look, we know and understand that we've got a season ahead of us, man. That's going to test every part of who we are. And like right now, we're just putting together the elements and the foundation of a football team that we believe, is going to be competitive, okay, and find a way to hopefully make some noise in Conference USA in 2024.
Coach, you've been on the job for a little over 3 months now. You were named on December 6th.
Right.
Relative to what you expected, what have these first 90 days been like?
You know what? I'm close to coming up on 100, and as I talked about it with our creative team, it spoke to the idea of like work, developing trust, relationships, identifying issues and problems, and making sure that we can address those issues, whether it's recovery, nutrition, schemes, a talent gap. How do we close like these things? These things aren't an overnight process, and I think that's what's been important for me, as I'm fortunate enough to get an opportunity to do it again. I'm seeing it through a different lens. Before, everything was so rushed, and it was about, okay, man, I got to do this because so and so is doing it. Now I'm not worried about what so and so is doing. I'm looking at our players, our coaches. Are we incrementally, maxing out the opportunity to get better every day? And if we're doing that, okay, well then we're gaining ground that will pay dividends when the time comes for us to line up and play football.
You kind of, in a roundabout way, mentioned something. How do you feel like, and obviously you've not coached the game yet, you've not even coached a spring practice yet.
Right.
But right now, how do you feel like you've gotten better from your first head coaching gig to your second head coaching gig?
Well, I know who I am. I think you think you know who you are, and then you're working within the constraints of the situation that you find yourself in, and then what you have to do is give and bend and sort of adjust and adapt to what's needed, but also what people are needing you to be. Right now, I'm not worried about what people need me to be. I'm worried about what my program needs me to be. Okay, so it's more of a build it from the inside out, okay, man, and make sure, man, that you invest in the outward pieces so they get a chance to understand, okay, what that real self looks like. And so, like, for me, it's been good, I've always been able to connect with players. That's not a problem. But Middle Tennessee is my community. I love this community, and I think, in the process, it'll love me back. And that process is about investment. I told our guys, people want to go see people that they know. There's got to be some connection. If there's no connection, they're not coming to watch you play. So like, what are you doing to connect with the students, the community, like the people, man, that have grown up in this place? And if you're not from here, you haven't gotten to know this place, well then, like, these people have no idea who you are. And so, like, the idea is this: let's be blue collar and very organic about the work that we do, the place that we sit in. Let's reflect this community, and let's make sure that we give this community, man, our best selves. Because what you do in the weight room should reflect the same thing that you do out in the community. The same thing that you do in the classroom, should really reflect on your brand and who you are, as a Blue Raider. So all these things aren't mutually exclusive. They're all connected. And so the connectivity is something that our guys are starting to get. It's something that I believe in. But, when I've sat down to talk to, a Coach Enzo, when I've talked to Jimmy, when I've talked to Teo, in tennis, like these people are real. The connection is real. I can learn a lot from Jimmy and Coach Enzo. Jimmy just opened up his new facility. And like he did it when nobody ever thought he could build a tennis facility. Got it done. Coach Insel has built something incredible, right? And like he's football's biggest fan. Like when I see him, I go to his coach's show, man, and I'm just as fired up like to sit there and listen to him talk because I've sat up here in the stands and watched like his practices and what they look like, and it's surgical. I mean, he coaches as good as anybody in the game, and I'm sitting here right here in Middle Tennessee getting clinicked, okay? And that's pretty cool. So I think like this community, like for me, it feels good. It feels like a good pair of jeans and boots. Man, they fit, and I'm glad to be in a place, man, where good people are willing to share their ideas and opportunities for success.
Derek Mason, newly named as of December, football coach here at Middle Tennessee State, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coach, you got spring practice coming up.
Right.
You start a week from Saturday, is that right? The 23rd?
A week from today.
A week from today.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Next
right.
Wednesday.
All
and then
right.
we have an NIL practice a week from Saturday. It's
Okay.
Raiders Rising, which is our MTSU athletics collective. We're going to be the kickoff for that collective, and excited to have an NIL practice, which will be pretty cool. We get an opportunity to invite our fans, as well as donors, as well as other folks to come out, contribute to the collective, the whole collective. But the idea is this: come see who we are. I wanted to get out with our staff and just get out and just be part of this community. So we started this thing called the Blue Collar Project, which has been outstanding. But I think with that's about community, right? And so we just want our community to come out, see us, see what we're doing, let them get a taste of what we're talking about with NIL, because I think NIL looks different for us here than it does at other places. It's not about making sure that we can just resource athletes. It's about making sure, man, that we can, because for me and my program specifically, I want to be able to make sure that I can invest in my juniors and seniors as I'm getting my freshmen and sophomores to contribute, because I'm a developmental program.
Right.
So, man, if I'm gonna look to talk about NIL and give NIL, okay, I want to invest NIL in players, man, who have been here, who've walked it, okay, man, who've paid their dues, and now on the back end, as we're getting to the best parts of what they can do, now, man, we're starting to reap that investment.
Yeah.
So again, everybody's got a different idea in NIL. I don't want to lose players, and I think you do that through two ways. You create, connection and relationships, and then the other idea is that when the time comes, okay, what does the investment really look like? Because you can only say so much. It's really now what starts to hit like their pocket in some ways, and they're not trying to be transactional. They just know that it exists out there, and so we have to know that they have a fair market value. So let's address the fair market value, and let's show them that we can.
Spring practice concludes with your spring game on April 13th.
Yes, sir.
And there was an announcement a couple of weeks ago. You're doing something a little unique.
Right.
And I kind of like it. You have named captains. You're actually going to play a straight-up game.
Yes.
And honorary coaches will be a couple of former Blue Raiders. I was on campus with one of them, Robert Frazier. I don't remember who the other one is off the top of my head.
Well, we're going to put it out. We've been trying to hold on to it, but it's going to be put out here like in the next couple of days. Man, we got a lot going on with, in our basketball teams and other sports. Man, we're trying to find the space where it makes sense, because we're also going to talk about what that week's going to look like. We're going to have a draft. Okay, so we're gonna get into a room the Sunday before spring game, and there's gonna be a true draft. I'm gonna be the commissioner, so I get a chance. I get a chance to swing the gavel a little bit, but it's something that's fun for our kids. It's something that's fun for alumni, and hopefully it's something fun for our fans and our donors, because we still have some things being tied up around that NIL event that are gonna like really affect like how the spring game looks too. So we're just trying to get creative in spaces where I think we can be creative, but create connection with community and have some fun.
Absolutely. And Coach, you've obviously only been on the gig for a little bit, but we've really been impressed with how aggressive you've been on the recruiting trail. But I got to ask you, we're sitting here in Murphy Center, but just right behind us, there's a lot of construction going on. How much of your recruiting pitch right now is, hey, look at the sweet new facilities. MTSU football is kind of moving out of the dark ages and kind of into a true new era right here.
Yeah, man, extremely excited. I've been asked, what do you feel about the construction and everything that's going up, and is it negative? No, man, it's the price of progress. That's exactly what you want to see. It means that this place is going to places that it's never been, to hopefully do things it's never done.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if that's truly where we believe we sit and where we're going, between Dr. McPhee, Chris Massaro, Lee DeLeon, our athletic programs, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more coming on the backside of this, but like you have to crawl before you can walk, and walk before you can run. And that's where we sit right now, with some steel coming out of the ground. It's visual.
Coach, before you got here, Wade and I were kind of talking about what is a reasonable expectation for Middle Tennessee State football in year one under Derek Mason.
Well,
what would you tell people that is?
Well, we want to be physical, we want to be tough, and we want to play intelligent football. Okay, but what does that mean? People want to know numbers. Well, I'll tell you more about our football team after 15 practices. Are we physical? Because if you can't control the line of scrimmage up front, you got no chance. It's a line of scrimmage game. So, it starts with our bigs. Everybody wants to say it starts with the quarterback. It doesn't. It starts with, can we run the football effectively when we want to, okay, as well as like when we have to, right? Can we stop the run? Can we get a pass rush on third down and get off the field? Having Luke Pascal back here, and the idea of how are we going to play special teams? I didn't go out and get a special teams coach that I thought would make us good. I tried to go out and get the best, okay, one of the best minds, okay, in college football. He just happened to be at the Group of 5 level. He just happened to be an MTSU alum. He just happened to be trying to get back here for the last 17 years. And
that worked out well.
Yeah, it did. and like, to me, like what he talks about the standard, and the standard being the best. That's the goal. The goal is to be the best. So we want to be physical, okay, man, and that's offense, defense, special teams. But the toughness piece, I think this much. Toughness, you can be a tough team, but I think offense sort of dictates defense nowadays a little bit in terms of like, what do you value? Everybody wants to score points, but it's not just scoring points, it's how you score points. Like, can you snatch somebody's soul, like as you're scoring points? Because if you can snatch, okay, you can score points, but so can they. If you can snatch somebody's soul, if you can challenge their toughness, okay, man, and sort of just pull their soul right out of their body, that's a game changer. And so we're gonna see how tough this group is, because we're gonna push them to places they've never been. And if you ask them now, they'll say, yeah, we doing some things, man, that are like different. And it's challenging because, like, look, when you get in the heat of it, I don't want them to know what you are when we get in the heat of it. I want the heat to be turned up like now, and then ratchet it up in the summer, and then do it again as we get to fall camp. So when we get to the season, you know what you're capable of, and so do I. So we don't look at each other with disbelief. We look at each other with confidence.
Right.
And I think the intelligence piece comes down to the simple fact that let's not beat ourselves. Look, I mean, from the penalties to turning the ball over, okay, or understanding how to be good in situational football. These things matter, like today. And as I looked, like this football team has beat itself as much as teams have beat it. So there's there's room for growth in all these areas: the physical, the tough, the intelligent piece, and that's where we got to make our hay. Everybody's got scheme, and everybody gonna play football. But here's what I know: big men beat down little men. Tough guys, okay, man, find a way to get across the finish line, and they're not making excuses for why they did. Okay, and the full reality of it is, we all these things can be talked about, but they really have to be shown, and that's what we're working towards. You can talk about it, but you got to be about it at some point, and that's what spring is about. It's really the second opportunity, because the first opportunity started with winter conditions. Spring ball becomes the time where we put them on the X's and O's, and everybody thinks it's going to be about scheme. It's not. It's going to be, can this man whip this man? Because if you can, we need to go with that dog. Okay, that dog right there may be a good backup, but that dog is the one that you got to go with, and we got to get that backup to be as good as this one. So I'm telling you, I don't know. To answer your question, we talk about expectations. Look, let's not lose games. We should win.
It's a hell of a place to start. It really is. Yep.
Seems fair to me.
It does. It does. Derek Mason, first-year Middle Tennessee State football coach, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coach, really appreciate your time. I know you're running wide open right now, and thank you for checking in with us, and hope to catch up with you again soon.
Thank you, too. This is one of my favorite spots, okay? Hanging out with two of the best in the business. I definitely appreciate your time. And listen, Blue Raider Nation, let's stand up. Let's have some fun. We're looking forward to a great 2024, but there's some work to do. See you then.
Let's get it done.
Let's get it done.
Thanks, Coach.
All right now.
Thank you, Coach.
When we come back here on Main Street Sports today to the 11,000-seat Lee Company studio, we will be joined by Joe Sullivan, talking a little local hoops. I see him sitting in the green room. I'm sure Robbie Avila's name will come up at some point here in the next segment, so stay tuned with us here.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back. You got me?
Yeah, we're on.
There we go.
You just can't hear it because.
Yeah. Oh, we just got done. Independence with an 88-74 win over Laverne here in the final 4A quarterfinal here at Murphy Center. Main Street Sports Today, Wild and Wacky Wednesday continues with Maurice Patton, Chris Yao, and Wade Neely. In our final segment, Chris will be giving you the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest news from across the globe and Florida.
Yeah, that's right.
But for now, we're going to talk a little local hoops, a little mid-major hoops with our local mid-major expert, former Boston Globe sports editor Joe Sullivan, proprietor of NashvilleHoops.blog. And unfortunately, Joe, the activity for Nashville hoops at the mid-major level has pretty well ground to a halt, I guess. Is that right?
It has. We had losses last week from Belmont, Lipscomb, and Tennessee State, and they're all gone. But Mo, can I deviate for just a second?
Absolutely.
So I really thought Coach Mason was going to name you one of the head coaches for the spring game. How did he miss that?
No,
that was a great opportunity. You're right, Joe.
That's not going to happen, and I'm okay with it. I would just as soon be a fan and watching as anything else. But sometimes they do have those honorary media captains. There are probably some other folks that would probably rank ahead of me on that list, but that's okay. But I like that dude, and I don't care what Chris Childers says. I think he's going to be great here at MTSU, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit it, but I'll be disappointed. So, but yeah, Joe.
I'll say this. So since seasons are over, now, except for Middle Tennessee men's basketball, which plays tonight against Louisiana Tech in the Conference USA tournament in Huntsville. I will say this. Go ahead. What?
I said timing is everything.
Yeah. But I will say this. What we turn to with these other schools is the transfer portal. And I'm going to break some news here. Joey Dwyer, the young reporter who writes for NashvilleHoops.blog, it just broke a story on Twitter that A.J. McGinnis, the guard at Lipscomb, has entered the transfer portal. He told Joey he's going to enter the transfer portal. And so it begins. Lipscomb has a team that is eligible to return 11 players from a team that went 20-12 this year, and would have, intact is the favorite to win the Atlantic Sun and be a possible NCAA team next year. And now this happens.
Well, and hopefully if A.J. McGinnis does transfer, he will transfer out of the Atlantic Sun and not come back and victimize Lipscomb as another
Oh, my God. Yes.
Yeah.
KJ Johnson shot for Alabama A&M North Alabama that eliminated Lipscomb from the A-Sun tournament. And, he's a nice kid. And I love how after the game he admitted that he just threw the ball up and hoped it went in. Guess what? It did. It went
well, and to KJ's credit, it's not his first game winner. He's certainly capable of that kind of thing. And I wonder what Lenny Acuff's true reaction to that is, because I know it has to hurt on the one hand that your team has done, but to see one of your former guys have a moment like that, even though he's the former guy, he's your former guy, and it has to somewhere kind of resonate with you a little bit.
I would think so. And I tell you, after the game, though, KJ refused to get into any of that, like, I don't know, that it was a bigger deal because it was against his former school. He had nothing bad to say about Lipscomb or anything else. He totally was just, it was great to hit a shot for the team he's on now, is how he looked at it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. You know, it's unfortunate, like you said, but this is kind of where we are, that you've got to start looking at the transfer portal and who's going into it and who you can get out of it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So Casey Alexander, to me, has what I think is the, and I think I've mentioned it on the show before, his philosophy I really agree with, that he feels because the power conference schools are relying so much on transfers, that he has a better chance at getting a better high school player. And
makes sense.
He lost through the transfer portal. So, for example, when he lost Jacoby Wood to Murray State, he replaced him with Keyshawn Davidson. So that was a guard for a guard. So if he loses someone in the transfer portal, then he'll look at the transfer portal to replace a veteran player. Otherwise, you know, he's going to continue to try to recruit the best high school players he can. Now, that being said, he didn't really have a freshman who did that much this season. Brigham Rogers was the backup center, and he looks like he could be a nice player, but he certainly wasn't someone who really affected the game when he came in. So I don't know. Right now, Casey's theory about getting better high school players probably still developing. And he had two big freshmen who didn't play the whole year. They were injured, and then they redshirted. So we'll see what happens to those two big guys.
What do you enjoy working on this week?
So Joey is at the, Joey, of course, his real job, I guess, is writing for Rivals.com, and he's covering Vanderbilt. And then we'll be tracking Middle Tennessee tonight, 8 o'clock start against Louisiana Tech, and we'll be tracking Vanderbilt, which has a 6 o'clock tick tonight against Arkansas. Mm-hmm. Who do you like in that Middle Tennessee game, Mo?
Man, they're playing Louisiana Tech, who they just played over the weekend down in Ruston, and took a tough loss down there, 84-70. You know, we were able to get Nick McDevitt on for a little bit last week. He kind of laid it out. That Louisiana Tech team creates some matchup problems, particularly for MTSU. And, you know, with a 14-point loss the last time they took the floor against them, coming right back against them, 3 days later? It's you even on a neutral court, it still feels like it's going to be tough for Middle to. I feel like it would be an upset if Middle wins it. Now, they have had some upsets here over the last little bit. I mean, they played some pretty good ball here over the last 3 weeks to a month. I think La Tech is just a tough matchup for them.
Yeah, and those upsets, though, were at home in the Murphy Center. I mean, away from home today, I'm just looking down here so I don't mess up the numbers. But they're 1-10 away this year and 1-2 in neutrals. So it is really, they've been very rarely able to win away from home. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I think they're in trouble tonight. And then the opposite of Lipscomb and Belmont, I think, we might see Nick be very active in the transfer portal the other way, where he might be looking to replenish or even improve his roster through the transfer portal. I think, he needs to do that based on how this season went. And I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'm sure he didn't say that to you because he's concentrating on this season. But, right. It is, I think, in this day and age, when you look at other teams, when you look at it, like the Ohio Valley Conference final between Little Rock and Morehead State, and both teams built through transfers, that it can be done at that level. And I guess, Ohio Valley isn't as hard as a Conference USA. I realize that. But it is, I think it's imperative that the transfer portal has to be a part of how you build your roster.
I think it's imperative when you're in a league where the transfer portal is how other teams are building their roster. I mean, you got to keep up. I guess if everybody else is using the transfer portal and you're trying to develop high school kids, then you're probably putting yourself at a disadvantage. So unfortunately, you kind of got to, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, I guess, right? So
I agree. Well, then, it's and they have so I think of Todd Golden, the Florida coach. He's on record as saying that he's only going to recruit high school kids if they're like 5 stars and can play right away for him. Otherwise, he's all in on the transfer portal. So that really. Go ahead.
I mean, that's kind of what a lot of teams, especially again at the Power 5 level or Power 6 level, I guess, in basketball,
or 4
for now.
Yeah,
I don't know the power
level.
The autonomous conferences, as Oregon State and Washington State will call them.
Yeah,
that's really what they're focusing on. So I guess it is. It's a potentially smart move. It's working for Florida right now, anyway.
So. Certainly working when they're playing Alabama, if nothing else. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh man, hey Joe. Obviously we've had some teams punch their tickets, including.
Stop. Can we get rid of that phrase?
No. It is colloquially going to be used. We're just going to have to use it. We can't get rid of it. We can stop using it.
Okay, let's stop using it. What
would you prefer to?
Small.
Some teams have scanned their Apple IDs. How about that?
Nobody's punching tickets anyway. Yeah.
There you go. They have scanned their tickets.
They've held their phone to the register.
For the NCAA tournament.
There we go.
Yeah.
You can't put that on a T-shirt. You can't put qualified,
and it doesn't really fit in the headline either, does
Ticket
it?
punched is a lot cooler than qualified. We got to figure out something that works.
We
got to
come up with something cool for a T-shirt. Okay,
if we're going to replace it, let's replace it with something better.
We will work on that.
Anyway,
by next week we'll have something.
Drake from the MVC, which means that not Indiana State. Does Indiana State get in?
Well, look, I will not going to pretend.
Stop, Joe. He said, does Indiana State get in? Not should Indiana State get in. And I'm afraid they're two different answers.
I hope not, but I think you're right.
Yeah. But go ahead.
You are right. You guys are right. It is two different answers. I think I've made it clear where I stand. They should be in the tournament. And so we can see Robbie Avila. There you go, Mo. We can make sure we mention him.
If for no other reason.
If for no other reason that somebody can mention Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
That's it.
I prefer Larry Nerd. I like that one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Oh, man. Well, the good thing for Indiana State is that there weren't bid stealers in some other conferences yet. I mean, St. Mary's did win, so Gonzaga's probably in, but they're on the bubble.
Yeah, a lot of people were happy to see Samford win the SoCon.
Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, there no bid stealers out of these weird leagues. So, out of the teams, the league that finished.
So, but the one bid leads aren't going to steal a bid anyway. It's what's gonna happen if like Iowa wins the Big Ten tournament. That's the type of thing that's going to bump Indiana State out of this tournament, and that's not far fetched. I mean, that could happen, or it would be Texas A&M winning the SEC, a team on the bubble. So those are things that are possibly troubling for Indiana State. And look, I don't pretend to be a bracketologist. I know something about it, but I follow Joe Lunardi for several reasons. One, I think he's the original. You could argue whether he's the original bracketologist, but he's certainly the one who popularized it. And to me, he's the best at what he does because he's been doing it so well for so long. And I have to admit that he's a friend of mine, so I do like him the best.
Full disclosure.
What's that?
I said full disclosure.
Yeah, and but he has Indiana State as the last team into the tournament this morning, and it is it's a vulnerable position to be in just for that very reason. Because if Iowa wins the Big Ten tournament, then you're out.
Joe, there's a lot of big games, not just tonight, obviously, with Bridgestone kind of kicking things off, but all across the country. And obviously, there's going to be some bigger ones as the week continues. But I got to ask you, give me 10 good seconds and break down let me make sure I got this right. 2-26. Coppin State taking on Norfolk State tonight in the MEAC quarterfinals. I know you're going to be glued to your screen watching that one. What you got for us?
All right. Well, I can tell you about Norfolk State because I've seen them play. I have not seen Coppin State play, but Norfolk State,
Lucky
is
for you.
traditionally one of the best teams in the MEAC. And I'm forgetting a first name. They have a guard named Thomas. Thomas is his last name. And he's a transfer from a school that's at a bigger league. And he's been terrific all season for them. If they got into the NCAA tournament, he has a chance to make a name for himself there. And their coach is a terrific guy who has done a terrific job there. He was a candidate for bigger jobs. So I think Norfolk will win easily.
That was a little bit of a question in jest, but now you kind of got my wheels really turning. Who's the team? Everybody's going to think about Indiana State a little bit, but who is one of these mid-major teams that's off the beaten path that if they get in, you would not necessarily be shocked if they win one or maybe even two ball games next weekend?
Yeah, so Sanford is one that we would think of. I mean, we've heard of Sanford, and we saw what they did to Belmont. I mean, they scored nearly 100 points on Belmont. And they have a veteran team. They go deep. He pays like 10, 11, 12 guys. They press the whole game. So their style can be very disruptive to teams. I think Sanford is a very interesting team going into this tournament.
Let's pray the committee does us all a favor and finds a way to get them against Bama.
Now that would be fun.
Bucky Ball and Nate Oates, let's go. Please, thank you, committee. That would be fantastic. No,
so the other one to think about is Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Who I have not seen this year. I mean, I saw last year, and the key thing about Grand Canyon is who they're coached by. Bryce Drew, who got fired at Vanderbilt, and now he's going to go to his third NCAA tournament as coach of Grand Canyon. If they have to win their tournament this week. They won the regular season fairly easily, but the other threat to them in that league in the WAC is Tarleton State, from Texas, and the coach there is Billy Clyde Gillespie. You remember him? He was the guy that got fired in Kentucky.
SEC.
Yeah.
Former Ranger College coach Billy Clyde Gillespie. Fun story.
Yeah.
Columbia State won the 2020 TJCCAA tournament championship and was headed to Hutch and was going to play Ranger and Billy Gillespie when everything got shut down. So
that's unfortunate. You were going to have a great story on that too.
It would have been, without a doubt, it would have been a great story. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, Tarleton State and Billy Gillespie and
Grand Canyon and Bryce Drew.
And I don't know that people in these parts want to hear Bryce Drew and NCAA tournament appearances. That's a tough one to hear.
Isn't it? It really is. Look, I believe they fired him too soon. I think it was unfair. It's his best player, now an NBA All-Star, Garland, got hurt, and boy, it's just.
And there are those that would tell you that they fired one too soon and another one too late. But anyway,
that's very clever. That's very clever.
Yeah. We'll see. Joe Sullivan, you can follow him on NashvilleHoops.blog. See what he's talking about as the offseason has cranked up for most of our local Division I teams and may very well have cranked up for all of them by this time tomorrow. So, Joe, we appreciate you, man, as always, and look forward to continuing to check in with you probably through the NCAA tournaments here and just getting your thoughts on things.
Yeah, well, we certainly there's a lot to talk about beyond the five schools we write about on our website, and glad to do it. Great fun. Thanks for having me.
Hey,
thank you, Joe.
We'll talk to you.
Austin P nearly stole one.
And the crazy part about that, too, is Austin P nearly got the home game. Who was it? They played Jacksonville? No, Stetson. Stetson won by 1 point.
Yeah.
And if they had not won that game, Austin P as the 6 seed
would have hosted.
Yeah, it would have been 6 versus 10. So Austin P nearly got to host the ASUN championship. And then obviously still made a great run of it. And you're right, would have been a massive bid thief.
That was crazy.
Big time. Huge bid thief. Speaking of wild and wacky occurrences, When we come back for our final segment, it's Wild and Wacky Wednesday, the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest stories from across the globe and Florida. Stay with us here on Main Street Sports Today.
I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros.
Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that EY's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No.
No. Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's just
you got that right, and
that's bottom line.
be a buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football. There's a baseball. Maybe it's not a puck. How about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coming to you for our final segment of the day from the 11,000-seat Lee Company studio here at Murphy Center on the campus of Middle Tennessee State University. We've got Union City and Chattanooga Prep on the floor getting ready for the first Class 1A quarterfinal matchup. It will be followed by Santa Fe and North Green. And coverage of that coming later tonight on MainStreetMurray.com. With no further ado, Chris Yao, the floor is yours.
All right, well, let's go to Lincoln, Nebraska.
It's not what I expected.
Okay,
but okay.
We begin in the heartland.
They do some weird things in Nebraska.
Well, I mean, you're kind of limited on what you can do in Lincoln, Nebraska. So, okay.
Exactly.
All right.
A Nebraska woman found a way to get a little free gas. Go on. That's right.
Okay, you got my attention.
Yeah. How did she do this?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. Just for entertainment purposes only.
There you go. Oh, well, here's how you do it. You just double swipe your rewards card. Free gas. That's what happened. That's what she did. She exploited the system over a period of several months. And when loss prevention manager at Bosselman Enterprises reported
Bosselman Enterprises.
Bosselman, not Bostelman, but Bosselman.
Gotcha.
The Pump and Pantry in Lincoln. This is the wild part of the story, by the way. The Pump and Pantry in Lincoln had been scammed. Fuel pumps received a software update in November of 2022 that managed, among other things, rewards cards. But the company was unaware of a glitch that allowed anyone swiping the card twice to put a gas pump into demonstration mode. In demo mode, the user could pump gas at no cost.
I love a good scheme, and this is perfect.
As long as you can get away with it.
Well, she didn't. She's now facing felony theft charges because she got them for $28,000.
That's a lot of gas.
That is a lot of gas.
Well, I mean, November of 2022, that's more than a year of doing it.
She's spending $28,000.
Yeah, was she driving an F-350?
It's free. She wasn't spending nothing.
Hey, no,
she
don't worry.
drove anywhere she wanted to drive.
We going out tonight? Don't worry. I'll pick us up.
I got gas.
I got gas.
You want to go to Des Moines this weekend? Really have a big time?
I got gas.
I got gas.
Yeah. Or you can drive, and I got gas.
Yeah, we taking my truck no matter what.
Yeah. Wow.
Holy smokes.
Okay.
Oh,
Felony theft.
28 grand, baby.
Watch comes at you fast.
It does, in fact. It does, in fact. All right, let's go to Florida.
There we go.
Happy Gilmore came to life. Just mere weeks following the untimely departure and death of Chubbs. An alligator bites off a fisherman's hand at a Florida golf course. He was fishing in a water hazard on the Florida golf course because
hazard.
Of course. Well, it's on the golf course. That's what it's called. But yes, it was in fact hazardous water.
Hazardous.
Oh man, he was reeling in a fish from a large pond with a 9-foot 3-inch predator struck in Leesburg, New Orlando. A witness told media outlet Fox 35 the gator got the guy in the hand and the two rolled. That's a direct quote from the victim here. Oh, the alligator then appeared to chew off the angler's hand before retreating into the freshwater pond.
And you know the alligator was mad. He's like, I'm, as we like to say, there's a little more meat left on that bone.
Yeah, right. All I got was a hand.
All I got was a hand.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, can you give me a hand? No, but I can take one.
I love that, by the way. Hey, you want to go fishing today? Sure. Well, we're going to the golf course.
Where are you going to go? We're going down to Swan Lakes.
Yeah.
Where's that? Well, that's the golf course up in Clarksville.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Anyway, okay, so two people called emergency services. One of them said there's a gator attacking a man. The other one said some people have stopped their golf carts. Which one's the emergency?
How big of a jerk do you feel like if you're the group behind that and you're like,
hey,
pick up the pace
you
of
guys
play.
gonna play or what?
Well, he got his hand bit off. Oh, okay. Well, I feel bad now.
Yeah, go
obviously.
ahead, play through.
Yeah.
We're dealing with the guy who just lost his hand to a gator. Go ahead.
All I can think of is, Chubbs with the
wow.
The timing is
it is
everything.
about everything.
That's awful.
So, they did take the alligator out of the pond.
Well, that was awfully kind of them.
The Fish and Wildlife Commission said the gator was later trapped and removed from the pond. Brandon Fisher, an expert from Gatorland, Orlando, told News 6 that alligators in Florida start to become more active during mating season as the weather gets warmer. Same. Spring fever has hit Gatorland.
A lesser man would say or ask, is that the most aggressive that gators will be all year in the state of Florida?
Ooh.
Or how about this? Is that the most offensive gators will be all year in the state of Florida?
Not unless they play Alabama. If they play Alabama, they're in good shape. Oh, man. But, yeah, there you go. Those are our wild and wacky stories for the day.
Oh. I'm speechless. Florida never disappoints.
How about Nebraska today?
Nebraska was solid.
Through.
Like I said, I'm just picturing loading up the truck. We going out to, suburbia, Nebraska. But don't worry, I'm driving.
Guys, I want to throw this out there because I told you I was going to save it. But there is an alleged tiger that has escaped from a zoo in Willow Lake near Albany, Georgia.
That is a mean-looking tiger.
But
if that's the one you just pulled up.
I don't know if this is true, but there are pictures on the internet.
Near Albany, Georgia. Yeah, that's never good.
I know where I'm not going this weekend.
No, I'm here and clear of Albany.
Just come back to Murfreesboro with us
I
at 2
think
o'clock
I
tomorrow.
will be here for the next few days, certainly until that tiger gets off.
There you go.
So stay with us here on Main Street Sports today as we continue to come to you from Murphy Center here in Murfreesboro with high school basketball action. Is everybody here tomorrow?
I think so.
All right.
Lock and load.
We'll be 3 wide again tomorrow. Stay with us. Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance.